afternoon, everyone. Uh, we'll be observing a topic this afternoon, and it's titled Sword. All right, this is so important to know for the Jambites and those who will be writing WAEC. This topic is gleaming, and it's important you have a foundational understanding of what this topic is all about. All right. Now, when we talk about sword, there are certain things you need to understand. Things like rational numbers and things like irrational numbers, or you call them non-rational numbers. Now let's begin with rational numbers. All right. Now, numbers that are expressed as exact fractions or ratio. Numbers that are expressed as exact fraction or ratio are called rational numbers. Examples: you have five. These numbers, you have 5 over 1, right? You have 2 whole number 1 over 3. You have 0.6. You have sod 49. Okay, if you are expressing these numbers now, for example, 5 becomes 5 over 1, right? Then 2 whole number 1 over 3 now becomes 7 over 3. Then 0.6, if you put it together, you have 37 over 100. And then sod 49 is 7. Okay, why 0.6 is written as 2 over 3. Are we in order now? Now, all these numbers are rational numbers. Now, numbers that cannot be written as a fraction, or numbers that cannot be written as ratios, are called irrational numbers. For example, pi, which is 3.141592 dash dash dash, is a rational number because it has a continuing decimal. Sod 3 also is a non-rational number. These two are non-rational numbers because they have a recurring digit. Like this will give you 1.732050 and so on. We also have sod 28, which will give you 5.291502 dash dash dash. So all these are non-rational numbers or irrational numbers. In essence, we can say rational numbers are numbers that can be expressed as a perfect fraction, as a fraction, and it has a perfect whole number, while non-rational numbers cannot be expressed as a perfect fraction. Okay? If the definition of perfect number and non-rational number is understood, now we'll now look at sword. The expressions of numbers in root form. The expressions of numbers in root form. Okay, when numbers carries this form, for example, 3, this you call this sword 3, you call this sword 2, you call this sword 120. Now we have simple sword, we also have complex sword. Simple sword are sword that you cannot further simplify, while compound sword, they are sword that you can simplify. For example, you cannot simplify 3 anymore, you cannot simplify 2, but you can simplify 120, which is 4 times 30, which is also 2 times 60, and so on. Are we together now? If that is cleared, let's use some theorems in sword. Number 1 says sword mn is equals to sword m times sword n. That means if you are given a compound sword, which is a mixture of 2 or more numbers, you can simplify them by breaking them down. Like this sword 120 now, it can be 40. For instance, now sword 120, which is sword 4 times sword 30. So this is a compound sword. This is what this theory is talking about. And if you multiply these two now, you're still going to have sword 120. That's theorem number 1. But theorem 2 says that sword m plus n is not equal to sword m plus sword n. Now this theory says that if you have addition, you cannot simplify the sword. You cannot simplify the sword. That's rule number 2. Like sword 20 plus 30. You cannot, like sod 20 plus 30 now, we cannot say it's the same thing as saying sod 20 plus sod 30. It will not go. This does not correspond. Also, the same goes with negative sign. If you have sod m minus n, you cannot say sod m minus n. No, you have to put them together, simplify them here, then you convert into each individual sod. Is that clear? The same thing, if you have a compound sod having 2 sod m, this is the same thing as saying 4m as sod form, where these two will multiply itself to take a sod form. So if these theorems are clear, let's see simplification of sod. Alright, shift it down into medicine. Okay, we're looking at simplification of sod. Alright, now to simplify sod, where possible, express the number under the square root sign as a product of two factors, one of which is a perfect square. You know what a perfect square is now? It's a number that you can easily find the square root. For example, 4 is a perfect square, 9 is a perfect square, 81 is a perfect square, and so on and so forth. So what you do is that when you are given a number, check if you can break the number into simpler form such that one of these forms can be a perfect square. So in this case now, you need the knowledge of multiplication table. All right, need the knowledge of perfect squares. So let's begin with question number 1, which says sod 45. Now what's sod 45? Check your timetable. 45 is 9 times 5. 9 is a perfect square, but 5 is not a perfect square. So that means 3 sod 5. Like I said before, 45 is 9 times 5. Like I told you, 9 is a perfect square, of which the square root of 9 is 3. That's how we arrive at 3 sod 5. Alright? Good. Or you can still break it. You can solve it by saying sod 45 is equal to sod 9 times 5. Using the first method I told you, where I said a compound can be broken to a complex, which is 9 in the form of sod 9 times sod 5. And what's sod 9? Sod 9 is what? 3. So that gives you 3 times sod 5. What's connected them together is multiplication. Because it's multiplication, you can write both values together. That will not give you 3 sod 5. This is your answer. Now, look at question number 2. Question number 2 is 162. Sod 162. Alright, we have another wonderful example, which is sod 162. Alright, where you have sod 162, try to get the factors of 162. Now, the least factor of 162 is 2. Alright, if we divide 16 by 2, we have what? 8. Okay, and if you divide 2 by 2, you have what? 1. That means 81 times 2 is equal to 162. Are we together? Now check if there is a perfect square. Which of this is a perfect square? 81 is a perfect square. Now, because 81 is a perfect square, we are going to express this in this form. That will now give you sod 81 times 2. Are we together? Alright, now when you have sod 81, break it down by saying sod 81 times sod 2. This is for learners and beginners. Alright, if that is clear or that is understood, you observe that you are going to have 81. What's the square root? That's 9 times square root of 2. There is no real number apart from decimal. So since it's going to give us decimal, you leave it as square root of 2 or sod 2. Since they are combined together with multiplication, you simply say 9 sod 2. That means sod 162 is simplified to be 9 sod 2. That is a simple technique for solving sod problem. So we have question number 3 now, which is sod s square y. You break this down because these are not numbers, these are alphabet. So you say sod s squared times sod y. Now s squared is a perfect square because what will you multiply 2 times and give you s squared, and that is what? X times sod y. What is joining them? It's multiplication. You have x sod y as your answer. We have another question here, 3 sod 50. Now since we have 3 sod 50, we're going to have 3 times sod 50.